Welcome to the Johnny Glover Show.
Hello.
And all kinds of challenges this morning. Top of the morning to you, Arlene. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to take a minute and tell them who you are. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Doni. So I'm Arlene J.M. Grant. I am a lawyer. I am technically a social impact entrepreneur. And what that means is I help people relax. And I do things that are designed to make the world more livable for everyone. That means lawyer, wellness practitioner, author, food entrepreneur, all those things.
Did you say food entrepreneur?
Yes, I found that with wellness, food is really important as well. And there is this connection between the microbiome and the gut brain axis. So the microbiome needs to be healthy in order for you to actually have proper cognition. So my popcorn line, which is organic and vegan and free of most allergens, is designed to help strengthen that microbiome. So it's layered with over 40 flavors and creates good feelings, but also good health.
Good deal.
There's
So,
more.
what are some of your favorite foods?
My favorite foods for calm right now, I think people need to have more magnesium in their diet because that's going to relax you. And when you're stressed out, you're going to see your magnesium levels deplete. So that is like number one. And I actually have a slide. Do you want me to share my deck?
Sure.
Okay, so let me pull up some things. I have a whole bunch of things, but let me just pull up that in particular for you. So, and that's a great question. Like, why, what do I like to eat? Because I love food, and food is important for our well being. So, let me go to present. Hold on a second. I can't share my screen for my slide deck, which is really interesting. Um,
So, where do we get magnesium from? It's a shiny gray, low density metal with the symbol Mg and atomic number 12. Highly reactive and naturally occurs in a combination with other elements. Where do we normally get magnesium from?
so I hope you can see my screen. Can you?
Ah, yes. Here we go.
Okay, so you can see it in chia seeds, so your omega 3s will do it, flax seeds, walnuts, and then wild caught salmon. Get the wild, not the farm salmon, because it's better for you. And then you want to get the magnesium rich foods from the pumpkin seeds, the bananas, dark chocolate, spinach, and almonds. And then the probiotics for your gut health, the kimchi, the sauerkraut, the miso, the kefir, and the coconut yogurt. If you eat regular yogurt, that's fine too. But whatever you do, try to make sure you hydrate. Herbal teas are really good and calming. Peppermint tea. There's also jasmine flower tea that you can use. Coconut water is extremely good right now. You might find that you need that and actually add a little extra electrolytes. But avoid foods that are highly processed because those foods are not your friend in times like this.
What does that
And
mean? Like fast food?
processed foods is more than just fast foods. Processed foods could be your packaged goods, and your highly processed packaged goods will be problematic for you. And for the audience, I didn't say I'm certified as a nutritionist, but I am. Um, those highly processed foods are known to contribute to cancers and ills. They create such things like insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is really important because your body is so fatigued, and people think, oh, it's just because I'm eating carbohydrates that I have type 2 diabetes all of a sudden. It's not true. When you have stress, and right now we're in this period of chaos in the world, people's stress levels, their blood pressure, all those things have been elevated. So processed foods contribute to that. and your body is overwhelmed and you can't produce and receive the insulin. So then everything starts to go haywire. You have inflammation, you have pain. I'm going to have some water. You have inflammation, you have pain, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. You also might say, oh, I have all this weight I'm gaining, but it's really not true weight that you're gaining. It is the product of stress. So cut out the fast foods if you can. Try to get the salads in. Try to cook your meals. Avoid canola oil. And also seed oils that are not organic. So, for example, your sunflower oil, that's a common thing that people may go to. If it's not high oleic sunflower oil, you're going to have a problem with that. A lot of these easy convenience foods in Baltimore, you'll find, like, I don't want to say the names of them, but say there's a chicken and fish place. The oils that they're using is that clear liquid shortening, which is not always good for you. So be mindful of how you are cooking those things because it will impact your well being. And right now, more than ever, you need to protect your heart and your mind. And there are other ways to do that as well beyond what you're eating. And popcorn, organic, which is what I sell, is more important for you because popcorn can combat, I should say, with as much as 60% of cancers if it's organic, because when you get the non-organic one, you're actually getting the chemicals from the farming practices still in the kernel. So you're eating all of that.
So where do you sell it?
So I sell direct to customer, and we are going back into the marketplace next month. We're on hiatus right now. And so I will follow up with a link, but they can follow me on Instagram at ArliePop, ARLIE.
Why don't you put that in the chat and we can put it up on the screen?
Okay, I'll do that.
In the comments, I should say.
Sure. And that's at Instagram. And so that is a way to follow up. But we're doing that because we're resetting, because we're making it a bit bigger than what we are presently. And we've been getting a big interest from around the country. So we're taking steps to service that.
So let's get to what we can eat, what you do recommend. Because the list of what you can eat, I mean, that's, let me focus on what we can eat.
Okay, so be creative. Add spices to your food. Yesterday, I met a young man in one of the grocery stores, and I was telling him, because he didn't know about spices. Spices are a gift and a way to help you regulate. So you get your turmeric in, you get your cardamom in, you get your coriander in. Try your basil and your rosemary. Those things will show you a swift impact. When you have turmeric, consider adding some ginger and consider adding black pepper. Black pepper actually helps you to process it.
Now, I
Importance of
thought, slow down. I thought red pepper was better than black pepper.
not with turmeric. Black pepper actually helps you with digestion. Red pepper is good too. I think you should have a balance and a mix in your diet. I talked about the microbiome. It loves diversity. And we have a problem where we have limited our food choices. So we're not getting that diversity we need for wellness. So there was a question about flax seeds and chia seeds. You can get the flax seeds and chia seeds from your health food stores. You could go to like a Sprouts. You could get them from a Trader Joe's, but make sure you get the organic kind. Okay. Right now we're boycotting some places. I don't want to mention.
What do flax seeds look like? Are they the little dots, little speckles?
No, the speckles are the chia seeds. So the flax seeds look like tiny little seeds. They have them in gold.
What color are they?
They're golden or they're brown. They're different types, golden and brown. But the flaxseed, one thing is make sure you try to ground it. Flaxseed is incredible. Flaxseed will actually help you draw toxins out of your body. It is a healing thing that people forgot about. It needs to be reintroduced. If you get the flaxseed, if you buy it whole, which is good, you have to grind it so that you get more of the nutrients.
Grinded with what?
Otherwise, you can grind it in a coffee grinder, you can grind it in a blender,
Is my
but
coffee gonna take that taste like flax seeds now?
no, it doesn't do that. So you can clean it after. If you don't want to grind it, buy it already ground.
Yeah,
But
now
if
I
you,
thought you were a lawyer. Help me out because you
I
seem to
am
like.
a lawyer. I
Well,
am a lawyer.
well,
So
how did we cross over into flax seeds and chia seeds?
great question. So I am trained in conflict resolution. I worked, all over the world, from my bio, training the military to mediate conflict in Europe, training the Swiss people how to create mediation systems, doing that here in this country, and working a lot in the labor and employment space and litigation. I found that the greatest conflict people had was not necessarily with another person, but within themselves. And they were looking for peace. And so I started to be more concerned about people's mental health and mental wellness. And then I had a problem that happened to me. I had trauma and an injury. And I don't know if people know this, and doctors do not tell you this. When you have an injury, especially like a concussion, it can cause your body chemistry to change within 24 hours. And then your cortisol levels can soar and your adrenaline goes up because you've been in this accident, right? Your body's like, oh no, no, I got to take care of me. I got to take care of me. And so your body stays in this position. So people have these pains, all these different things. And I used to work for an insurance company. So I know this whole thing about the body, not just from my studies, but also paying the bills and sorting through and being familiar with medical records and then litigating it. And then just people coming to me for pain and me creating this relaxation program to help them. So finding
So,
these things,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yes, finding these things and then my own injuries, I needed to figure out how to get better because I was swelling up and I was gaining like 10 pounds in a week. And they're like, well, what are you eating? I'm like, I'm not eating even that much. But it wasn't even weight, it was inflammation. It was my body in a stress state. A lot of people are misinformed and misdiagnosed and told all these different things. So we have the sick that need help. My father unfortunately passed away in 2017 from some complications uh, independent of not the prostate, the pancreatic cancer. He had prostate cancer before, and I was able to help him with nutrition to get better, and he did have a surgery. So the second time he got cancer was pancreatic, and complications around that led to his passing, but it also elevated my interest in helping people differently. So
All right.
that's
So
how
let me
I
get some
really
questions. You got to let me get some questions in. Say never give the mic to a lawyer. Okay, Kayla, what about ginger?
Ginger is your friend. Ginger is your friend. You can get the ginger root. I don't recommend you use the ginger powder unless you're getting organic powder.
So when I get the
Right?
ginger root, do I shave the skin off?
No, you don't have to, but clean it. Clean it with baking soda and water. Baking soda and water, clean it and cut it up and boil it on a low temperature and let it simmer. And then add lemon to it, a little honey if you have honey that's ethical honey, or use some raw sugar. I do not believe in fake sugars. I don't encourage it because it's confusing to the body and it causes you more problems in the long run.
Okay,
Your
so
body,
can I add habaneros to my ginger?
yes, you
What,
can. You
what,
can
what about
add,
what about onion?
yes,
What
you
about
can.
garlic?
Recommended.
Okay, so that's my concoction right there: ginger, lemon, honey, habanero, garlic, onion.
Okay.
And I tell you, when I drink it, number one, I sleep like a baby.
You
Secondly,
should.
it's very calming.
Mhm.
It kind of balances out my coffee, my love for coffee. I guess you don't drink coffee.
I do drink coffee. I like to drink organic coffee, and I actually have coffee flavored popcorn.
Hold up, you're a lawyer. Hold up. Slow down. You just you're a lawyer. You're a herbalist, and you're also an entrepreneur.
Yeah, but nutritionist more than herbalist.
Okay, nutritionist.
I Yeah, I really have a thing for wellness. I want to help people. And as
Okay,
much as I see people in conflict, if they were better inside, they would be better outside. So even though it might seem
okay. So
totally altruistic, I'm selfish. I want the world to be better for me too. So if I help you be happier, you're going to help the people around you, and it's going to make a better world for all of us.
okay, let's get to the White House. You did conflict resolution around the world. You didn't train the Swiss. You didn't train the Baltimoreans. What about this cat at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? Can you train him? Because you know, I remember hearing a joke once, and I got to watch my language. It was talking about the no, you can't say that word on the air. But this president certainly seems like a butthole. I mean, this cat. So, but it said the joke was that it's a part of the human body, and you need him too. Do we need a Donald Trump to make the world better? I'm confused.
My personal opinion, no.
Why is he here? What lesson are we to learn?
Fear, fear is why he's here. Um,
That seems demonic. I mean, you don't have to be a biblical person. It just seems evil, diabolically a bad person.
yeah, but you know what though? His biggest supporters are people who claim to believe in the Bible. Kendrick
No,
Lamar,
I
Kendrick
don't.
Lamar, no, but Kendrick Lamar says something really interesting. Hear this out. Kendrick Lamar says, hide the Bible, right? Because the Lord might be watching, right? So here's the thing. I think I said exactly the way he said it, but or the people might be watching. So here's the thing. There is fake believers, there are fake extremists. There are people who have taken over this narrative and created this fear. And this fear mongering is why you have Donald Trump in office. I actually am a Braver Angels, which our goal, our mission was to help people have good conversation across the aisle. I am neither Democrat nor Republican. I'm an independent, but I'm also an intellectual. So I would never cast my vote to the wind. I would always vote according to my conscience, but also what's in the good interest of the country. So I was for Kamala Harris, and I think the people who are for Donald Trump were moving from fear and misinformation and this idea that he is the white savior and the second coming of Jesus. I don't know if you've heard those narratives.
I'll tell you something. If I get to heaven and Donald Trump there, I'm gonna say, "Look here, I gotta go. Just
Right?
send
Right?
me to the other place." Just like if I get to heaven and I see Pat Robinson, I'm like, "I gotta go." I don't see
Yeah.
anything godly about these people who defend America at all. Did you see this man? Did you see what's the one that looked like a leprechaun? JD Vance. This
Yes.
man grilled President
Yes.
Zelensky
Yes.
about
Very
what he
disrespectful.
wore. You have never in the history of America seen any kind of freak show like that before.
But there's a reason. Their
Please.
desire was to shame him and to set it up to orchestrate their allegiance with Russia. I really believe that. I
They
think the
shamed
fact that,
themselves
well, they don't see it that way.
and they
So
shamed America.
right, but they see it as a flex. And I don't know if you pay attention. Like I try to tap in a little bit to see what they think. And they've created these false narratives about Zelensky now saying he's using the money for his personal gain, which is all false. But that feeds that fear. You know, years ago, I used to wonder because I used to be on Capitol Hill and I used to be the employee advocate. And I used to wonder what in the heck drove this conservative thought process. And scientifically, it has been studied to say they have a different biological makeup. Yes, fear, ugly plaque. And there's a whole bunch of plague. There's a whole bunch of things going on. But the reality is that they are shaped with fear, and there's a misunderstanding. You mentioned Pat Robertson and other people. Remember the Bible says,
who usurp the Bible. I don't know what Bible they read, but
well,
I don't get that from the Word of God. These are
it's
demonic
not.
people.
It's not. And that's why the Bible says, depart from me, I never knew you. For all those who want to say, I did this and this in your name. Because the Lord, if you knew the Lord, you wouldn't be like, this is what I did, this is what I did. You'd be like, hey, I'm so glad to meet you. How are you doing? Face to face. I've been talking to him, prayer. I know all these things. That's not what's going on here. And it is an ignorance. And it is playing to the fear of people. There is a fear mongering. And then for those of us who are strong, the idea now is to instill fear in us through chaos. So wellness is essential at this time so that you're not stuck in a place of fear. So for all of those people who are being tossed to the left and to the right, stand down. Take a moment to sit back and assess and take your steps to move forward. This is
Okay, let
really
me get a
important.
couple words in here. There was a young man who did a video, a white guy, and he was in tears over
Mhm.
how J.D. Vance was grilling Zelensky.
Mhm.
This white guy was in tears. He said he is so ashamed of this country right now.
Did he vote for them?
This man's country is being invaded. They're in the middle of war. And you're talking about, you're asking him questions about his wardrobe. So I got to get a couple of thoughts off my mind. I love war movies. I tend to watch, I like war movies. I just do different conflicts. And I notice in Hollywood, when they do these war movies, quite often there are these Navy SEALs or special forces, and they're rarely ever black.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But then I go back in history and I look at the forming of this country. And I look at the role. We have a regular guest on this show, Delegate Tiger Davis, veteran.
Mhm.
And so we know about the 1st Rhode Island Regiment, all black, which tipped the Revolutionary War. We know it, but we skip over and put it on the back burner that Crispus Attucks was the first patriot to die in this country. Or when I look at the West, the taming, how the West was won. In my second book, I talk about Chief John Horse down in Florida,
Mhm.
who fought with the Seminoles against the likes of Andrew $20 Jackson, who wanted to put blacks in chains and put the Indians on reservations.
Mhm.
I look at the history of the Trail of Tears, where they say there were black slaves on the Trail of Tears, when my book reveals that they were not slaves, that they were soldiers who fought to a truce in the Second Seminole War and left Florida to go to Oklahoma, and eventually left Oklahoma, went through Texas, creating black towns along the way, including, few know that East Texas has over 500 black towns. And then they went to Mexico, blacks, Buffalo Soldiers, all the way through Texas down to Mexico, and became the border patrol for Mexico. And on that note, I also tell you that Mexico had a black president. Things we are never taught. So when I think of these Navy SEALs and these special forces, I respect soldiers, but it's always this image that it's the white guy. when history tells us that the black soldiers were some of the most fearless anywhere. Even in World War, I believe it was World War II, World War I or two, these the Black Panthers, and these were a black tank brigade that went through and saved white soldiers. So Hollywood does a horrible job telling the story of our soldiers. And so let me shift to the fear. A white person shared with me that racists operate from the mindset of scarcity.
Mhm.
So you couple the fear, I don't know if it's the fear of a black man taking their woman or what have you. You couple that fear or fear of black and brown people giving back to racists what they have given them, like smallpox and blankets. You couple that fear with scarcity, the mindset of scarcity, like Elon Musk up on the moon, digging up the moon. Leave the damn moon alone. The moon ain't bothered nobody. So you have really, I think of racists as 2-year-olds who are out of
That's
sync.
an insult to 2-year-olds. I'm sorry. 2-year-olds don't know the difference of
Well, we'll
making
call them
sure.
minus 2-year-olds. They're negative 2-year-olds. They've almost like troglodytes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that,
I know that was a lot there.
yeah, it was, but it's all good. I
Fear
think
and scarcity. Fear and scarcity.
right. And for example, DEI, the recorded and documented beneficiary, the person who benefited the most from it was actually white women. Would I recommend a plant-based diet to address health issues?
Don't pay Michael no mind. He got a bunch of questions. He'll have you all around Robin Hood's bond.
Okay, I'll just say one thing really quickly. I recommend the diet depending on your situation. There are certain nutrients you cannot get from a plant-based diet, and if you have health issues, you may not need that plant-based diet. But I do believe in a plant-forward diet where you have as much plants as possible. And I'm not a fan of eating a lot of raw food because that can be very hard on your digestive tract and result in some negative consequences.
Are
Now,
you a vegan?
no, I am plant-forward. I do.
You just introduced the term. You said plant forward, like
Yeah, plant forward, you're going to eat more plants than you do meat. Meat is going to be occasion. So that's kind of like in Japan, they'll have less meat than you'll have, in the US. I'm not a big meat consumer at all.
do they live longer than us, or does
Yeah,
everybody live longer than us?
they live longer than us. And since the Trump administration, everybody lives longer than us. Yes,
Okay,
it's
so we're talking about our bodies healing in this era of stress, and a stress that we have not known for a couple decades. I mean, they're taking their hoods off, essentially. You have a Klansman in the White House who is taking his hood, who had the audacity to take his hood off and showed that nappy hair or whatever you call it.
Mm. I'm going to share another slide with you. Let's see if I can do this the right way again. So, one of the things that I recommend that people do is activity and movement. Sometimes we want to kind of retreat when we're feeling sad and eat some Cheetos. That's not really going to be the best thing. Have some organic popcorn, not necessarily Arlie pop, but organic popcorn nonetheless is the best one because it's going to release the endorphins that you need as well in your brain. But activity is important because stress gets trapped in the body. And so you're going to have more aches and pains. And there might even be some familiar pains that come back because your body has memory. So I suggest to my clients and to your audience that they create an activity reset ritual. And that might even be shaking therapy. You ever notice if you have a dog, you take the dog out for a walk, When it comes back in, it kind of shakes off, right? And so that is letting go. So doing that shaking is a good thing. 1 to 2 minutes. Taking a walk. When you walk, your eyes go left to right, right? Right. And that movement of your eyes actually helps to reset your brain. So you can do some cleansing breaths as well. And when I say cleansing breath, that's breathing more diaphragmically, getting that deeper breath, pulling in just above the navel and trying to inhale and exhale. And you can do that through your nose, ideally. And then if you're frustrated, like I had a client recently who told me he wanted to destroy something and he's a federal worker. And I said, well, if you destroy something, do something that's not going to destroy you. And so I suggest that people do either the shadow boxing to have that energy release, or you can put pressure on a wall, not punching a wall, but putting pressure there. Or you can hold a pillow and you can take care of that pillow. But don't let these things take you out of being. That's extremely important.
So I can picture me shadow boxing and throwing an overhand right, bam,
Exactly.
right into Donald Trump's chin.
Yes. And you know what happens? You get a
See that
release. Your
snap
brain,
like this, and him just.
yes. And the brain will love that. The brain will actually love that.
Tell me this,
Mhm.
since you're so smart, what happens when people play video games? I'll be 60 this year. We're having a big celebration June 27th. But
Oh,
people half my age, and it's interesting to me. Yeah, I remember when they had the little what was it? Atari, going way back, and it was just ping pong. That's all it was. Blip, blip. But now I'm seeing how computer video games, the gamers,
hmm
I mean, they've got their own computers, their own screens. What happens? And these are grown, well, 30 on up. What in the hell do these games do to people? Why are they so addictive?
they're numbing.
Huh?
They're numbing. They're numbing. They don't want to feel. Uh, and so the game allows you to step into escapism and numb reality. And you create a safe world where you can express yourself and there isn't someone to shame you or question you. And then gaming also allows people to get community. I was confused about gaming some years ago. I was in Hollywood because I was working on a project which was entertainment wise. And I remember a friend of mine there, a filmmaker, another filmmaker, was playing games with strangers on the internet. And I was like, what do you pay for this? And he's like, yeah, I do. I was like, wow, this is really interesting. And it was before it is the thing it is now. But it's that sense of community. It's that like-minded people that you can get around and relax. You know, there's no one nagging you to do something or judging you. And it is a scoring system that is based on your ability. So it's affirming as well. There's so much to the psychology of games.
Is it healthy?
But for the extended time period, no, I don't think so. And I think that's why you have people. Sorry?
Too much of anything is not good for you.
Right. But I also think it's why people have trouble communicating. There are people who are happier to send you a text than to pick up the telephone.
That's strange to me.
I know, because we're of a different generation.
It's strange to me, and I pay attention to the person's age. It's just strange to me. And they say I sent you a text, and then I looked down and wow, you sent that 6 hours ago. You could have just called me. Hey, you didn't respond to my text. You didn't call me.
Yeah, I had a legal client try to do that to me. I fired the client. They're like, "You didn't answer my text. I sent you that." I was like, "Did it show that I received your text?" No. So then how are you coming at me like that? People need to adjust and make adjustments that are called creative boundaries. That's another thing that I teach my clients. Create these boundaries that are energetic, that allow you to be, and remembering that saying no is saying yes to yourself. And boundaries are more than saying no. It is clarification, it is comfort, it is what is feeding you. So that's my take on that. But no,
Arlene, you're talking about things that someone's parents should have taught them.
yes, I was fortunate. I had three parents growing up. My maternal grandmother lived with us. And so, for not all, but most of my life. And she was very much a parent. And so, there were lessons that I got that maybe a latchkey kid would not get because the TV wasn't going to teach them, the teacher wasn't going to teach them, and the parents weren't around to teach them, or the parents didn't know to teach them. We need to have classes. I used to think when I was in law school, I started volunteering like at some of the schools in the city. And I was like, maybe we need to get the grandparents mobilized, not saddling them with rearing their grandchildren, but getting those people that we think are done and letting them stay in their senior quarters, letting them interact with children to share their knowledge and their care. My grandmother was a fashion designer and a businesswoman and a real estate investor and a whole bunch of other things. And she was tough with me, not mean, but tough in terms of teaching me things like business is business. Although sometimes I forget because she says I was too kind. So she always remind me to do things from a business perspective. But she was very, very encouraging.
What do you mean too?
Mm, because I want to help people. I came out the womb helping, okay? I always made a joke that, and my mom said it was true. I would kind of wait to make sure everybody was okay before I expressed my concerns as a child. I learned growing up that I have to express my own, but I genuinely care about people and making sure that their kindness is not safeguarded and protected because then it's misunderstood as a weakness when in fact it is not. It is just strength. It is a strength. And especially
But
now.
givers have to set limits because takers rarely do. And you don't want to give to a bad receiver. You want to cut that off. You want to give to where it's needed and well received.
Yes, and that's why you call people out on it. So I believe in lifelong learning experiences as a way to help your brain. Okay. The science is there. So I do a lot of different things to help my brain, right? And one of the things I do is photography. So I was at an event photographing Oscar party and just hanging out with some friends. And there were people who were pulling on me because they love photographers because it satisfies vanity and all these other things. So I was like, oh no, I'm not that person. I'm here having fun. I'm helping a friend. That's it. If you need the photos that I'm doing, you need to talk to him. That's where you'll get them. Oh, okay, well, can you take a picture of me with my cell phone? No, I'm not here to do that either. So it is creating that boundary for yourself and
You hang
knowing.
out in Hollywood?
Pardon me?
You hang out in Hollywood?
Not now. I used to, but not now. I mean, like I photographed the Golden Globes. I did a lot of different things, but
The Oscars?
I never did the Oscars. It was always the Golden Globes. I did about 5 of those. Yeah, and
Answer
I.
this for me. And
Mhm.
we all look up to our entertainers in various ways.
Mhm.
Malcolm X said that entertainers were never our leaders. That's what Malcolm said.
So I would say, how
I'm
do
not
you
finished.
define? Oh, okay.
So when you look at the idol worshiping, Jay-Z, but Beyonce, some of these actors, the P. Diddy debacle.
That's a nice way of saying it. Go ahead.
Have we as Black people become numb in our idol worshiping, in our worshiping of these people? I mean, we celebrate a drug dealer when in fact a drug dealer is a terrorist. If you're selling cocaine and heroin and crack in the community, you're a terrorist. You haven't done anything to help the community. But we glorify, oh, they made $500 million. They made $1 million selling drugs. And we revere that. Oh, look at that car. Look at those clothes. Look at those things.
So, how do you define a leader? If you want to go back to the Donald Trump situation, he was put on television and it had a show where his catchline was "You're fired." So he fed the masses with entertainment, and that entertainment then made him deemed a leader, despite consistent business failings, even though there were business successes. That power of imagery drives us. We love storytelling. We come from storytelling traditions. So I disagree with Malcolm X. Entertainment is not supposed to be leadership, but it can be. Entertainment is the most powerful vehicle that we have because it engages the senses and it gets people's attention. And they have crafted it from the editing to the music to the scripting to pick all of your pain points and your joy points.
But that's not so because they have that kind of influence and they can touch 1 billion people, that makes them leaders.
That makes them crowned leaders, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be followers. They are the trendsetters. What are you wearing? Okay, so then people will follow that lead, right? They have influenced people. So that is becoming leadership. Now, if you're
Even
talking
in
about
church, even in church, when Jamal Bryant gets in the pulpit and says, "These hoes ain't loyal," I'm really confused. He said it. It's around the world. Don't blame me.
No, I actually was in seminary just after, like during and after, I guess, the time of Jamal Bryant. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I told you before, people will say, "Lord, Lord, I did this in your name," and you will hear, "Depart from me, I never knew you." That is so true. There are people who pimp God. There was a pastor who was also at seminary around the same time, whose church burned down. I'm not going to say his name. His church burned down.
Church get hit with a lightning bolt,
yes,
it's probably time to find a new church. There's a church here. They got struck with lightning, and I think you might want to find a different church. That's a telltale sign to me.
Yes, but also they didn't have the insurance, but he had the fabulous suits that he persuaded.
Oh my God. He didn't have a fancy car too, did he?
He did.
Oh my God.
But he had all those things. But I'm telling you, money has become a god. I don't even
The
like to
love
use
of the
the word
love of money.
it's not even the love of money. I'm not saying that money is bad. Don't get me wrong.
We need
But
money.
yeah, you do.
The Bible
You
says
do.
the
But
Bible says the love of money.
it is not even the love of money at this point. It is the idolizing of money. So there's this value.
But they got money and they still not happy. That's where something doesn't add up. You have money and you're still not happy.
So I believe that that's true because money does not result in happiness.
If you were happy,
Community,
you wouldn't be acting like a plum fool.
I would agree with you. And that's what gets back to my point of why I work with people on wellness. Because if you are happy within yourself, now let's not pretend that there were people who grew up in life who were mistreated, right? And they had needs that weren't met. And so those who didn't have those needs met or have these ACE scores or have all of these different things, they have trauma.
Trauma. Thank you.
And some of those people with their unresolved trauma then wish to inflict trauma on others. So
You get 10 stars, lady.
thank you. So
What was Donald Trump's trauma? I mean, his father gave him $43 million. Was that the trauma?
So, he likes to sue people.
You had $43 million and you blew it. I mean, that's just gotta be the worst business.
Here is my thought.
That's got to be the worst business person on planet Earth.
So if you pay attention to the way people speak, and so let's just go to the words that are used, not to the psychology, because I have not sat with him. But from the observations, there's a cry for attention that is very present from the president. And that cry for attention is always qualifying everything that he says. Did I say to you, I'm the best mediator out there, I'm the best lawyer out there, I'm the best, and you're gonna really love what I do for you because I'm the best and there's nobody who can do it like me?
That sounds like a used car salesman who
there is something fundamentally wrong with that. If you look at the person that he followed, I've forgotten the person that he followed who was his mentor.
Hitler.
There's another one. The guy who was his mentor was like one of these thought leaders. No, like a thought leader. I want to Google it. But it was like, I don't want to say the name wrong, but it was Casey or something like that. I don't know. He was mentored by a lot of people. He was mentored by him, but there was somebody else that helped him to learn about this thing of sales and how you deal with people. And I think that impacted him and how he deals with people. I think that there is a disconnect. And I feel strongly to say that there's a disconnect. And so in the event that he'd want to sue me, having worked with the federal government to help employees of Capitol Hill, having worked on thousands of disputes involving employees, for example, in the Postal Service or other organizations, having mediated conflict and arbitrating conflict in the workplace and corporations, I would say that there is a disconnect within him, that there's no peace. This idea of Greenland, for example.
Can I tell you the disconnect? Because you're being polite. He needed my daddy for 5 minutes. That's all he needed. He needed my daddy in his life for 5 minutes. That's all he needed. That's what he did not get. My daddy for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I assure you, he would be a different person.
I'm laughing because sometimes I see people and I'm like, oh, if you had my parents. Now, let me tell you, my parents are Jamaican immigrants, right?
Wagwan.
Oh, we'll go on. So my parents were serious. Now, my grandmother's father actually was a judge from Connecticut, a white male from Connecticut who went to Jamaica and, mingled. So, so there was always this idea. There's like this British rule that's very strong in the Jamaican culture and how you conduct things. And so I couldn't do the stuff that I see people catching up with because my parents would have leveled me. We would not be having this discussion now because they really would be like, we just got to take her out. I mean,
They
they
said
would
something to
know
me.
nonsense.
Hey, there was one. He said, I brought you in this world.
I'll take you out. I'll take you out. I have no problems doing that. I mean, I just never thought to do those things. Some of us are just wired differently, and some of us are wired.
Yes, it's called a belt, a switch, a cat of nine tails. Where your grandmother send y'all back, go get a switch. I never was traumatized like that, but I've heard those stories.
Mm. I
And
never had to do this.
I'm not telling you to beat your kids, but I will tell you this: spare the rod, spoil a child. If I, as a black father, now black grandfather, don't put the fear of God in my child, I leave it for the 5-0 or the CO, the police or the correctional officer.
I do believe that children should have discipline. I think that there are parents who believe their children should be their friends, and they should be your friends, but you should still be
Oh, I'm not
parents.
your friend. I'm not your friend. You got kids?
No, but I have parented.
I ain't your friend. I don't care if you like me. I'm here to help you become self-sufficient. That's my job. I ain't here to be nice to you.
Yeah, but there are different types of friends.
Uh,
No, I
huh?
think you have to have a friendly relationship with your children, but I do think
Yeah, but we blur those
parents,
lines. Look,
parents
Arlene, look at me. You got people doing TikTok dances with toddlers where the first word of the song is the B word. We have gone
I
too damn
feel you
far.
on that. Or they teach the children to do these dances that little babies should not be doing.
Yes.
I agree with
Or they,
you on that.
or they allow a 3-year-old to call them by their first name. And then when that 3-year-old turns 16 and she's stripping or she's beating the hell out of the parent, then it's not cute anymore. We done lost our damn mind. And tell you something else, Arlene. We have allowed people who can't raise their own children to influence us on how to raise ours. Wasn't no damn time out in my house. Johnny, go to the corner. Oh, no. You say, what? Before you could get it out your mouth, you found yourself picking yourself up.
See, I didn't grow up with that. I mean, there was discipline in my parents, so I was uh, a thinking child, and so my dad would and my mom they'd be like, "Go get the belt." That was our switch, and so I decided when I was like maybe 5 or 6 to hide. I was about 5. I hid every belt in that house. I found every single belt and I hid it. I mean, my parents had rage because they couldn't find the
I'm
belt.
not into beating kids, but you have to set boundaries.
But it
If
was
you don't set boundaries,
hard.
Arlene, you will be defending that child in court.
I
Look,
agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with
Arlene,
you. I
Arlene,
don't believe in child
Arlene,
abuse. I don't believe in those kinds of things,
Arlene,
but I do believe you can discipline.
Arlene.
Yeah.
It's best you do it than you leave it to the correctional system that specializes
Oh,
in,
agree.
incarcerating black people. And you mentioned the British. The British are besides America being the most incarcerating nation, the British are the second most.
I don't doubt that. But what I'm saying, the discipline, but I don't think that children should be hit as the first remedy. And the reason that I don't believe
No,
that
I agree.
is because you have a lot, I see a lot of adults who are still wounded children. I see a lot of adults who are
Why
still
they
8
wounded?
years
Why they
old.
wounded? Let's break it down. Give me one. Who is wounded from a disciplining situation?
It's not just discipline. It is
Are
discipline with
they in the penitentiary? Because
understanding.
I'm talking about people. I talked to a guy just did 33 years,
Ooh.
and they asked me to do some promo for a man who has 9 life sentences. So I want to get an understanding.
So, from my experience as a lawyer, as a wellness practitioner, there are, and having dealt with people in jails, there are people who didn't receive what they needed, like that care, that concern, that sense of safety, that sense of being heard. And so they decided to act out for attention. And then when they had a lack of things, they decided to take it because they didn't get over things. I mean, I've had adults cry in their 40s and 50s for not having birthday parties. And I pause, I don't offer judgment, but it surprised me. I was like, really? And they compared what their friends had to what they did not have, and they thought that's what they needed. So that goes to parenting
Throw your
core.
own birthday party.
Exactly. So I tell people to celebrate themselves daily. You know, why do you think birthday cake is like the number one flavor in a lot of things beyond vanilla? Because people want to feel celebrated. So celebrate yourself.
We've become so damn selfish in this country. And I think it starts with Christmas and lying to kids about Santa Claus.
I don't celebrate Christmas, but I
America
do.
do, and they do it halfway around the world, and they don't even tell you Santa Claus was a black man. Maybe if they tell you the history of Santa Claus and you see it was a black man from Turkey, maybe
Or brown.
what is the purpose of putting a damn tree up in your house? And then people
Well,
come somewhere and it was a black neighborhood, and the whole damn neighborhood got up Christmas lights. And I'm saying, isn't it March?
but
And
you
then
know
one
what?
white person wants a white Christmas. I am confused. Why do you want a white Christmas, son? Your people are from Africa. It is hot. Ain't no damn snow unless you're up on Kilimanjaro. You asked for this, not
True.
me.
That's true, but that's that Hollywood thing. That's that Hollywood thing. They've
I'm
been
dreaming of
sold
a
illness.
white Christmas. Okay, this
Yeah,
guy didn't have a prom.
I'm
You
sorry.
know what? Let me tell you something. When the prom came around, and I hope my daughter's not watching, but I'm just going to put it out there. I think here's a rule. I'm not spending more on you for one day than I would spend on myself for one day. It does not take me $2,000 to enjoy myself in one evening. If it costs you $2,000 to enjoy yourself, you need to go get $2,000. Now, I ain't saying I won't break you off, but helicopters and Range Rover limousines, and we done lost our damn mind. That's your tuition money for your first semester. Stop playing with me.
I agree with you.
We've
I do
gone
agree
way
with
too
you.
far.
I
And
think
we celebrate that, but we celebrate the prom or graduating from high school without focus on what's next.
that's true because things have replaced connection and morals and values. So for those people, they're watching TV, they're seeing, what was that, My Sweet 16 or something show? And then you would get everything. They're watching They see that, and so they think that that's what they're supposed to get. They don't understand why they don't
You
have it.
get what you earn. And if you are a person of faith, I think you come to learn that you get by giving. We got to get out of here, but I'm going to share with you some words my dad said. I was about 8 years old, opened up all my Christmas gifts. And I said, Daddy, what do you want for Christmas? After I done opened up all my gifts. Invariably, that man would lay back and he would say nothing. He said, what I want, son, they don't sell in stores.
That is true. I remember I was in law school. I went home to Rockville, and I went to make my dad breakfast for his birthday, and he was started to cry. And I was like, I made you breakfast and you're crying? He's like, this is the best gift. It is knowing that people care for you. It is knowing people care, to feel seen. Those are the things that you remember.
The little
Those are
thing.
the things that you cherish. I know you want to end, but I did want to share something on the screen here.
Come on with it. Attorney, health, doctor, therapist, entrepreneur.
Okay, I want to say thank you to everybody. And then I have a class that, when you asked me what I wanted to talk about, I was like, wellness in the Trump era. I have a class that people can register for. It's going to be on March 30th, which is a Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time. And it's an hour long. People need tools. I am concerned that people are going to just drop dead from what's happening and how they're processing things. So I want to thank people for tuning in. Thank you for the opportunity to share and inviting me on your show. And if you need a wellness contributor, I'd love to come back.
Oh, you got to come back. We're not letting you go. You got my guys all invigorated. But I got to tell you, life is short, and love people, use things. Don't use people to love things. Yes. You want respect, give respect. You want love, give love. In the words of my late dad, with a closed hand, nothing gets in and nothing gets out. With an open hand, there are endless possibilities. And I'll tell you one other thing. God ain't going to bless you if you got trash in your house.
True.
You got to throw the trash out, put some bleach down, and clean up that environment.
That's true.
We all do.
That's true. And that house is not necessarily the literal, but the one within. The one thing that I would say that my dad, who is also passed, I'm sorry that you've lost your dad as well in physical form, is that we're our brother keeper, right? We are our brother's keepers. And my dad used to love this song that said, he's not heavy, he's my brother, right? And so I would encourage people to remember that communal care is essential right now. Make room for communal care. Check on your friends. Be honest about yourself. If people ask you how you are, I'm fine, I'm fine. If you're not fine, it's okay. There are warm lines to get help. What's warm lines? It's not the 988 emergency number for crises. You can look it up, Google it, warm lines. People will talk to you for free on these warm lines to help you manage the stress of the current environment.
Arlene, it's truly a pleasure. Why don't you put your contact information out there? Let's put that flyer up again.
Okay. Let me do that again.
Because you want to put a link, because that graphic, let's give them a link.
Oh, a link to it?
A link in the private chat. I can share it on screen and people can. Well, that's right. This is your Instagram. This is how you catch her on Instagram. And maybe this will.
Yeah, Instagram and YouTube are ways to catch me. I'm also unstackable now. Well, that Instagram, that's for my popcorn. Let me do this other one. Cleanse your
Oh,
cache is the right one that they need for their wellness. This is the right one for their wellness.
and you down there
And
in Montgomery County
that's where I'm from. Now I'm in the city.
in Baltimore?
Yeah.
I was traumatized in Montgomery County at a Trader Joe's. I was like, this is Montgomery County. I just knew it was heavily Democrat and really kind to black people. I was like, oh my God, this is Trump country.
It's not Trump
Yeah,
country.
it is.
There's a lot of racism there.
Yeah, it is.
I remember my dad got an apology at my high school graduation from a teacher saying that she felt guilty that she knew and didn't do anything, that there was racism in the schools. So remember that the outside world is going to be the outside world. Take care of your inside world so that you can manage the outside world.
We got to bring you back because we need some. We had to bring you back on. Do you need a show? You can have a show on this network if you're talking about wellness. No charge. We'd love to have you.
Oh, thanks. I'd love to do that.
Good deal. Arlene, it's a joy. Have a beautiful day.
Likewise. You too. Take good care.
Good
Bye
morning, world.
now. Thank you. Bye now.